As the doctors continued to monitor Zoran's condition, Captain Reynolds entered the medical bay. He was a tall, broad-shouldered human with a kind face and eyes that sparkled with intelligence. He approached Irina and Murloc, kneeling down to be at eye level with the young Zorgaxian. "Hello, Murloc," he said softly. "I'm Captain Reynolds. I want you to know that you and your family are safe now. You can stay on our ship for as long as you need." Murloc looked up at the captain, his eyes wide with wonder. "Why did you help us?" he asked, his voice small and uncertain. "No one else would." Captain Reynolds smiled and placed a hand on Murloc's shoulder. "Because it's what we do," he said simply. "Humans have a saying, leave no man behind. It means that we never abandon those in need, no matter who they are or where they come from." Murloc felt tears welling up in his eyes. He had never encountered such kindness and selflessness before, especially not from a species he had never even heard of. "But you could have been hurt," he said, his voice trembling. "The Krillthak are so strong, why would you risk your lives for us?" Captain Reynolds looked at Murloc with a serious expression. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said firmly. "We humans believe that every life is precious, no matter what species they are. We couldn't stand by and watch innocent people suffer, not when we had the power to help." Murloc felt a wave of emotion wash over him. He had always been taught that the galaxy was a cold and unforgiving place where only the strong survived. But here were these humans, risking everything to save a family they had never even met before. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice choked with tears. "Thank you for saving us." Captain Reynolds smiled and pulled Murloc into a gentle hug. "You're welcome, little one," he said softly. "You're safe now, and we'll do everything we can to help you and your family find a new home." As Murloc clung to the captain, he felt a sense of hope and gratitude that he had never experienced before. The humans had shown him that there was still good in the galaxy, that there were still those who would stand up for what was right, no matter the cost. And for the first time since the Krillthak had attacked, Murloc allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, everything would be okay. Captain Reynolds stood tall on the bridge of the Resolve, his eyes fixed on the view screen as he addressed the Galactic Council. The Zorgaxian family, safe in the ship's medical bay, weighed heavily on his mind as he prepared to confront the council members who had abandoned them in their time of need. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice steady and filled with conviction. "I come before you today not as a representative of humanity, but as a sentient being who believes in the inherent value of all life." The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats, their holographic images flickering slightly as they avoided the captain's piercing gaze. When the Zorgaxian family sent out their distress call, they were met with silence and indifference. Reynolds continued, his words cutting through the tense atmosphere. They were left to die, alone and frightened, while the Krillthak warship bore down upon them. He paused, letting his words sink in. Is this what the Galactic Council stands for? Is this the legacy we wish to leave behind? The council chamber erupted in a flurry of whispers and murmurs. Some members looked away in shame, while others bristled at the captain's accusatory tone. "We had no choice," one council member spoke up, his voice trembling slightly. "The Krillthak are too powerful. We couldn't risk a confrontation." Reynolds fixed the council member with a steely gaze. "No choice," he repeated, his voice rising with each word. "There is always a choice. You chose to prioritize your own safety over the lives of innocent beings. You chose cowardice over compassion." The council member flinched, his holographic image flickering as he sank back into his seat. "The purpose of this council is to protect and support all sentient life, regardless of species or origin," Reynolds continued, his voice filled with passion. "If we cannot uphold that basic principle, then what is the point of our existence?" A hushed silence fell over the council chamber. Some members looked down at their hands, while others exchanged uneasy glances. "I implore you," Reynolds said, his voice softening slightly, "let this incident serve as a wake-up call. Let us recommit ourselves to the values that brought us together in the first place. Let us stand up for what is right, even in the face of adversity. Slowly, hesitantly, several council members began to nod their heads. A few even spoke up, their voices filled with a newfound sense of purpose. "Captain Reynolds is right," one member said, her voice trembling with emotion. "We have lost our way, we must do better." "I pledge to take a more active role in protecting vulnerable populations," another member chimed in, his voice filled with determination. "We cannot stand idly by while innocent lives are lost." As the council members voiced their support, Reynolds felt a sense of hope and pride swelling in his chest. He knew that this was only the beginning, that there was still much work to be done, but for now he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction, knowing that he had played a small part in steering the Galactic Council back towards the path of righteousness. In the medical bay, Murloc and his family watched the proceedings on a view screen, their hearts filled with gratitude and admiration for the human captain who had risked everything to save them. "He's a hero," Murloc whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "A true hero." Irina nodded, tears streaming down her face as she clutched her son close. "We owe him our lives," she said softly, "and we will spend the rest of our days working to bring our two peoples closer together." As the Resolve continued on its journey through the stars, Murloc knew that his life had been forever changed. He had seen firsthand the power of compassion and courage, and he vowed to carry those lessons with him for the rest of his days. And though the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, Murloc knew that he would face them with the same bravery and determination that Captain Reynolds had shown. For he had seen the best of humanity, and he knew that together they could build a better future for all the beings of the galaxy.